What's going, guys? Aarava here. Welcome back to the Pitlane podcast number 16 for the Canadian Grand Prix with the usual host, myself, Aarav, Callum, and Tom. And what an interesting Grand Prix, I guess, for the first half. Then it got a little bit dry, but nonetheless, a very, very awesome start, at least. But I think we can all agree on that. That was a very, very cool start. Obviously, you would have seen it by now because this would have been uploaded a day later, unfortunately. Obviously, due to the nature and the time zone of Canada, obviously the Grand Prix was quite late on, and then E3, the Gaming Expo, was on afterwards, so us three were a bit busy with that, so we decided to record this a little bit later and release this on a Monday. It is right now in Spain, as you can see by Tom's thing. Actually focused quite well, Tom. It's actually...
Yeah, good focus.
Yeah, it's actually half past midnight for Tom, and coming up to 11:30 for us in the evening. So we're recording this now, going to release it on Monday instead. Hope that doesn't matter too much. Actually, to be honest, the people who should be annoyed by that should probably be us, because it will probably the podcast will probably get less response because it's not straight after the Grand Prix. But anyway, it's not all about that. It's about us actually talking about the race. So guys, what do you make of the start? Reactions from the start? Pretty mad, wasn't it?
Insane start. Yeah. It's always madness to see someone on the actual second row jump the entire front row. Like Mercedes had an absolute, not a shocker as such, but just in relative terms to Vettel, insane start. I think Hamilton probably got the worst start out of the top three. And then Rosberg just got alongside, and we'll probably have a little discussion about Hamilton-Rosberg into turn two, going in through the little complex. But just absolutely insane start from Vettel, and I think that's kind of what he needed to set up his race. If he wanted to maybe have a sniff at the win, he really did need to. Obviously, later on that didn't really help with the strategy, and obviously Hamilton taking the victory, but it did put on... It always makes the start really exciting, in my opinion.
Yeah, it was like he had traction control on and just like, whoop.
Yeah.
It was basically a throwback to Australia. You know, when everyone was fearing Ferrari starts?
Yeah.
It sort of just came back to life today. You could really see Vettel just get an absolute stormer in Mercedes. It wasn't even that bad of a start. Just Vettel just got an absolute worldie. I mean, it just literally came out of nowhere. It's just an unbelievable start. And it wasn't even like, he got past both cars way before the first corner and went back onto the racing line and then took the corner normally.
Yeah.
He was that far ahead.
Yeah.
And
he
had a really good start until the end of the first lap, when he instantly, for the first time of three in this race, he went across at the chicane. And the new system where you have to go behind the white bollard thing,
they've made it a lot harder. Like it used to be. Well, I think they changed. I think the first time they had the sausage curb right alongside the track was 2014, I want to say.
We're going to end up getting it wrong.
I think I don't know. They basically put that in, and then they put the additional white thing that Tom was talking about, where it's like Russia, where they basically direct you to turn a little bit left, then come back, and then go onto the track. So it basically punishes you, so you don't get any advantage at all. So that's why Vettel didn't have to let Hamilton through, because it did lose him quite a bit of time.
I think you could see towards the end of the race, especially I think the second or third time Vettel cut. It was one of them ones where I think it's faster if you purposely go into the chicane and you know you're going to miss it, so you just tap the orange. You just touch the orange curbs. Therefore, you can speed up and go on the inside of the bollard and go straight off instead of having to go around it. So I think some drivers sort of got the gist of that and were purposely touching the orange, just sleeping policeman, and then went straight on to get a better run and not lose so much time, because you can see a lot of drivers lost a lot of time, like Ricciardo, I think it was, when Bottas overtook him for P3, when he went across the chicane and he lost so much time, and Bottas actually flew past him on the straight. So, I don't know. I feel like it sort of ruined it a bit, because it just took a lot of sting out the battles. Personally, I think, before you just go straight on and the battle would resume, but I don't know.
I suppose there weren't that many battles in the first place, to be fair. There was a lot of trains, but
it was.
It wasn't the most exceptional Grand Prix in terms of overtaking.
Like it was so exciting right at the start. We're all like, oh my god, okay, this could be like a really fun race. It could be Vettel and Hamilton battling all race long, something like that. Obviously, then the strategy came into play, and the strategy was basically they separated each other basically, because they're like sort of completely out of sync in terms of when they made their pit stops. But towards the middle part, started to fade out a little bit. We had a lot of trains. We had the Kimi train, which is quite a funny thing on Twitter. People are like made a meme of it. And
the Alonso train.
And that
was quite a considerable one.
So I mean, I guess it's tricky with the chicane thing. Like, just briefly again, like, you've seen in the past lots of fans be like, we need to make it more punishing, like with gravel traps or something like that. So it's a tricky one. Like, if there was a gravel trap there, that would completely even kill it off. So
or just put a barrier there.
Yeah.
That'll stop it. Because in Monaco, obviously, you just literally come from there. Yeah. There's loads of corners where there's no tarmac.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's just making it more punishing. But
it's just one of those things like
chicane talk.
Tracks evolve a little bit, so over time they'll just change a little bit. But yeah, getting to the actual main part of the race. So I guess obviously the biggest part was Vettel and Hamilton and the whole strategy play. So early on, Tom, you thought it was going to actually work out quite masterfully, and it might have actually worked. But then towards the end, Vettel made so many mistakes.
I think it was a case of Australia again.
Yeah.
I think Mercedes took a gamble, took a shot in the dark with the soft, hoping it would last the entire race. If you look at everybody else who attempted a one-stop, everybody battled except for Lewis Hamilton. So you could say luck. What you could say luck was attributed to it, but you definitely got to say in terms of the grand scheme of things. I think obviously 2 races in a row where you could say Hamilton's been gifted the race win. Even though I've got to say, if I was in Vettel's position, I think I'd rather be chasing than be chased. If that makes sense.
Yeah,
because. I think you feel more comfortable, and then also, who knows, Hamilton could have forced Vettel into a mistake, Vettel could have, tried to push too hard, done his brakes in. I mean, it took him one lap and he went in straight on the chicane, so who knows. I personally think, I think it came that close to being a masterstroke. I think if the Super Soft was a little bit more competitive, or the virtual safety car came out like 1 or 2 laps later, that would have been enough. But Hamilton did really well in his softs. He literally controlled it perfectly.
It was very interesting with the strategy because I actually looked at an interview and Mercedes weren't planning to do a 1-stop with Hamilton. They were planning to do a 2-stop, and it was only very late when they switched it because obviously this is the first race. Because if anyone actually paid any attention, everyone used the soft tyre because Pirelli made it mandatory that only the soft tyre needed to be used. Hence why we didn't see any super softs taken or asked for from Pirelli by I think it was the Haas
and
Renault
as well.
Yeah.
They didn't ask for any super softs, and obviously that kind of took out the sting of this whole 3 different variations. Obviously with a 2-stop, we saw Ferrari go ultras, supers, softs. So that was obviously an old variation there, but it kind of was a bit of a throwback to last year and kind of a bit of a reminiscence to maybe last year the way the tyres were. We can see the improvement that they have made with the tyres, but I just thought it very interesting just how far, again, this just seems so uncertain and how far they can take these tyres. Yeah. Because we always hear drivers go, we just don't have a clue how long we're going to take these tyres. And I think Hamilton said again, I really didn't know how long the tyres were going to go, but
it's quite good in a way.
Exceptional between the pair of them that we had a very old school battle. I always think whenever it's Hamilton versus Vettel, it's always just one of them old school battles that we don't really see when there's no Rosberg involved or a Ricciardo or a Verstappen.
It's very
it's a bit of a throwback.
It's like it's like 2010 or 2011, like China.
It was nice seeing them on 2 different strategies, 2 different cars, going at it, pretty much pushing as hard as they can. Really, they weren't, especially towards the end of the Grand Prix when they were just like, right, okay, let's try and put a foot down. I thought it was a very good battle between them, but it was just a shame that Vettel maybe couldn't come up.
If I was in charge of Ferrari, I would have flipped the strategy. I think I would have gone for the soft first and then the super soft, because worst ways, if you look at the soft and how Hamilton made it last, Vettel could have pitted for that tyre first and worst ways dragged it to the end. And if not, then he could have gone to a super soft at the end and chased Hamilton. But I don't know. Exactly. They sort of backed themselves. Sort of backed themselves into a corner by doing the super soft first and then the soft, because Hamilton wanted to do was just hold track position. So
I think in hindsight, it's easy to see that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of hindsight.
This season's Ferrari strategy hasn't been the best. To say that way.
Second race, is it? That they've been
but just over the season. I mean, Australia as well. It's just not going well for them, is it? They're just getting it all quite wrong, I'd say. I put a tweet out not this morning, earlier today after the race to sort of summarise it. At the end of the day, this upgrade for Ferrari worked, and I think the way you've got to see it is the Ferrari that drove today is the Ferrari that should have turned up at Australia, because essentially the engine now is at full power, which is what they wanted at Australia. They said from pre-season that they knew that they were down on turbo power and that they were waiting for those upgrades to come. So essentially the first 7 races has been a 95% completed Ferrari. So this is now the Ferrari that should have been Australia, and you've seen that it's shot them straight back up to second place, right behind Mercedes. So who knows? Depends what's in the pipeline for Ferrari, but it's definitely brought the battle back up.
It is
there
worth
again, sort of
noting that when we made the last podcast, we said that we didn't know if there's any upgrades for Ferrari this weekend, and obviously as soon as we'd done the podcast, we'd find out instantly that there was a turbo upgrade. So that put anything that we talked about in the last podcast down the drain. But obviously we said during that. We spent
like 30 minutes talking about like team orders, like the pecking order, and then like I think it was literally an hour after we finished recording it, and I was editing the podcast. So, McLaren brought upgrades and Ferrari brought a new turbo upgrade. It's like, okay, great.
I think we did mention it, the Ferrari one.
No, we didn't.
No, we didn't.
We
distinctly remember. I distinctly remember. I agree with Cal. I remember we did. We said like they're bringing upgrades. We just don't know. It's going to be like Monaco, basically the pecking order.
I knew we didn't say McLaren, but I could have sworn I said Ferrari.
Yeah, we didn't say anything about Ferrari.
I don't think I think we might have said like, they're bringing like a small update, but I didn't think we knew it was going to be the huge turbo update that it was the turbo update that basically before the race, Toto Wolff was saying that it looks like I think we can say now that pretty much they're near to pretty much the 100% Mercedes power, and that we should be worried as a team. And I guess obviously by the start. They should be worried because if Ferrari got everything right again, sort of going back to the last podcast, as I said, they haven't fully yet got everything right again, which is a real shame, actually quite annoying me as well.
That's the thing that's going to decide the championship, I think, now.
Yeah, getting things right.
Mercedes are there, like obviously they've got one of the fastest cars, some Grand Prix, it's under jeopardy of the fastest. But the thing is now is Mercedes just outclassing other teams with strategy, with just team decisions. Even with Hamilton and Rosberg when they had their crash, they handled it pretty perfectly, to be fair.
I don't agree completely. I personally feel Mercedes' strategy still isn't great, but people are doing it worse than them. It's not great,
obviously, anything's not going to be
there are a few times
Mercedes' strategy is still as bad as it ever has been, and they've been pretty debatable on strategy in the past.
It's been a poor year.
It's been a poor year. Ferrari and Red Bull around them are even worse.
Yeah.
It's just one of them ones.
It's like, because there's a lot of times this season where it's been like, okay, that is an interesting tyre choice, Mercedes, or that is an interesting lap to pit them.
It's like there's 4 top teams in Formula One, and they're all getting the strategies wrong.
It's almost
in the
like
past couple of years.
I know we've said this before. We keep going. It's almost like the flipping Premier League, like this last season. Like the top teams are all getting it really wrong, but it's just it's the team that gets it the least wrong. So I guess even though obviously it's not the same thing, but it's like Leicester were there not getting it the least wrong, and so it's like Mercedes are there. Everyone's getting it wrong around them, but they're getting it the least wrong, but they're also getting it wrong equally. So yeah.
Talking, just like steering it more back to the race. I haven't actually talked to you two either about this. What did you think about Hamilton and Rosberg at turn 1?
I thought it was sort of the classic Hamilton-Rosberg thing, where it's like Hamilton's on the inside, Rosberg's on the outside, and Hamilton mentally knows he has Rosberg in his back pocket, so he just sort of went a little bit wider than maybe you might usually do to set a corner, and Rosberg sort of just put his hands up and gone, oh shit, no, fuck, I'll go right onto the grass.
I think it was alright. In
terms of the move, I thought it's okay. I just thought it was standard Hamilton.
I'm a Hamilton fan, and I thought it was quite rude.
It wasn't, sometimes when these incidents happen, when you watch them the first time, literally live, you think, I need to watch that again. That looked a bit, I literally didn't think anything of it.
Well, think of it this way. I know we've said it before, and it's bad. You can never really compare different kind of moves from track to track, season to season. You've said that a lot of times because at Spain that was quite something you were passionate about. But if we do look back at when Hamilton squeezed someone wide, he's done worse squeezes and gotten away with it, and the FI have been no, it's totally fine. So if you actually compare it to that, this squeeze really wasn't that bad. Rosberg could have kept his wing in. He might have lost a bit of end plate, but he probably could have kept his car in. But at the last minute, he ducked out and probably did himself a disservice by ducking out too late because he went on the grass a little bit and then had to do that sort of half flick to get himself back into position. That's the thing.
With the actual incident, I thought it was obviously it's very rude because it was completely alongside. Yeah. But did you see? I saw the onboard. We all saw the onboard, and Hamilton turned in, and it went straight. It was like Cota in 2015.
Yeah.
He literally just turns in and nothing happens. But it was very rude from Hamilton to just push him straight off. But what was quite good for a lot of people linked it back to the 2014 incident where it was roles reversed. And obviously, I never like to compare, but it was almost identical. Hamilton, in 2 years ago, he was even further ahead almost than Rosberg going into turn one, and he backed out of it and just slotted in behind. Yes, he lost a few positions, but not as many as Rosberg did today. But it was a very weird incident, but I just thought it was very rude. But I think we're always going to see
it was a little bit
now.
rude. Yeah, I'm sort of half agree.
That's what Martin Brundle tweeted out.
Yeah, end of the day, I think we're just... I don't know, I feel like we're going into it a bit too much. It's just the first corner. It's the first corner of a race.
It's your standard, like, the adrenaline's pumping. You're not really going to think about it that much. You go into turn one, and that's it. You've got to make a decision, like, a split second. And he's just decided, okay, we're going to try and squeeze him out a little bit. And obviously Rosberg tries his best to go around the outside. And although I hate to bring this up, but Paul di Resta, not a great commentator. Everyone knows that this race he was shocking, but he did say one sort of okay thing I agree with was the fact that it's always going to be difficult to go around the outside of a Lewis Hamilton into turn one. So
that's a freaking what do you call it? That's a Mclaren.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't Mclaren, but I'm just saying, like, that is the obvious thing, like, with that. So I think that's what nulls it.
Adding into the fact that the track is already cold enough, tyres are cold enough, brakes, heavy car. It's just not going to end well. And trying to go around the outside sometimes is just not going to work. But I think Rosberg maybe should have done a bit better in thinking about it, because I think that did put his race down the drain from that point onwards. But then again, a lot of people go, we don't really blame him. I think we hit Rosberg quite hard, but I think he did kind of put his race.
And in the end of the day, it didn't matter too much because he did the classic Bottlberg at the end.
Oh my god, I pissed myself.
And so we'll talk. We'll come to this now. It's a natural thing. So obviously, at the end, he tried to overtake. I'll agree with this at least. At least he had the balls to try something. But his car failed him a little bit, and he failed himself a little bit by not judging how bad his brakes were at that point in the race. And his brakes just went, and he just spun like I would on F1 2015.
It's the way I put it is, I think we could sort of structure the rest of this now, team by team. But I just want to say this quickly. I think what Rosberg did is just I thought it was so stupid. The definition of madness is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting the same results. He did that move 3 times. Verstappen ran and covered.
Yeah. Hats off to Verstappen.
Yeah, Verstappen
he placed his car pretty much perfectly into turn one and the final chicane. Yeah. But I don't know why he kept trying. Because the thing is, what he should have done, in hindsight, that's a beautiful thing. He just should have just backed off and waited until turn one, because I think you've got a much more better idea, because you can go up the inside or outside.
Yeah.
And you've kind of got ideas, and then you can also got the traction zone coming out of turn 2 as well. But obviously, it was coming to the end of the Grand Prix. I think that was on the second to last lap, wasn't it? So yeah, because he was just about to go on to the final lap because Hamilton almost lapped him. That was just a very, very poor race for Rosberg. To say that he was 43 points ahead before Monaco, and he's now 9 points ahead.
Yeah, he's really.
I've tweeted it. I'm still sticking to my prediction. And the day he will never be world champion.
He's really fucked. He's really fucked that lead up.
Slipping through his fingers, but
it's these last 2 races where he really needs to, like, you can see when the chips are the chips are down and it's all stacked against you, and you really need to just show up. He didn't do it. If you look at Hamilton in Australia, where he fell through the pack at the start of the race, he still came through to come, I think, 3rd or 2nd.
To be fair, given the benefit of the doubt, he did have a puncture. He did have a puncture, so he was forced into a 2-start.
Yeah, but it was he was right there in the pits, and he's still right behind Bottas, and he went on to a fresh set of softs. I don't think it was that bad anyway.
I'm not sure why they put him on softs. That was another questionable strategy call. I'm not sure that... I don't know.
Yeah, it makes sense for Hamilton because you're out in the lead. But Rosberg, he needs to overtake in a car that is maybe not the best sometimes in dirty air.
In fairness, to be fair, he did push quite hard. He did get the fastest lap. It did perform quite well, but you'd have thought he would have sliced through the field. He would have easily... He'd have had loads more laps if he had the ultra softs on.
It's back to what we were saying. We said it before. The Mercedes in dirty air just...
It's tricky.
It was all right, but then again, he was up against Williams, Force Indias, Ferraris, even the Red Bulls are quite nippy in a straight line now.
The only place I would take around here today really was on the back straight, and he happened to encounter a Williams and a much improved Red Bull in a straight line and so on. But
and Ferraris as well.
I think in terms of structuring it by teams, you can definitely say we talk about Mercedes now, so I like to summarise a bit. Hamilton is really you could feel Monaco, the tide really just turned a bit. And to be fair, I did predict the Rosberg DNF. I wasn't too far off. He did get he lost a lot of points.
Yeah.
But he had a slow puncture. He almost got crashed out of turn 1, so I almost got it right. But definitely a contrasting race at Mercedes, you could say, and a real just game changer today, because that's really been the championship wide open. And you could say all the way down to Kimi, even though Kimi won't do anything, it's still possible. I think there's 50 points from Kimi all the way to Rosberg now.
Yeah.
So it's still all to play for. But I think Mercedes, on the grand scheme of things, I think they'll be happy they didn't take each other out on the first lap.
I think anyone will be happy.
I think
didn't Niki Lauda predict it into turn 1? He was like, I bet one of them's gonna be on the grass. Not a surprise there, Niki Lauda.
Well, he knows he knows the drivers quite well. I think he knows him quite well behind the scenes.
3-4 years.
Yeah.
But talking about Ferrari, we've pretty much covered them basically. Vettel just kind of screwed over by the strategy.
Kimi though,
it wasn't really anywhere really.
Kimi struggled with tyre warm up.
I tweeted it. He started the season strong, but he's just sort of faded away last few races, hasn't he? He's just sort of
not in a good
to be honest,
as well.
This is what I feel about him right now. It just seems like he's happy to be there.
Yeah,
but he doesn't have that hunger. He doesn't seem like. Obviously, he's not a very emotive man, so we don't know. But to me, on track at least, the way he drives around, it just seems like he's happy to be there to score points for Ferrari and help Vettel in the constructors, and maybe be his rear gunner when they're up in 1-2 or 1-3 or 2-3. But it just doesn't seem like he himself feels like, oh, I could go and win this race.
I just feel like
anymore, I don't think.
I feel like he's the difference maker now between Ferrari being where they are and possibly becoming a World Championship winning team again. If you look at Red Bull and when Verstappen got promoted, how Ricciardo's upped his game, I feel like Vettel's very settled with Raikkonen. They've got a very good relationship and it's very calm. There's not really any edgy competition there.
Yeah, they're good mates. They're good mates. They play like tennis together and stuff.
I feel like Vettel if you put Ricciardo in the Ferrari next season, you would see Vettel up his game, and then Ferrari would be pushing. I think it's competition, but in a good way. And I think Ferrari may need that.
Like Vettel and Raikkonen getting frustrated with other things, but if Vettel can get very frustrated because obviously he's a world champion. Obviously, he's trying to go as fast as he can anyway. But if he has someone pushing him as hard as he can, and something goes wrong, he'll properly get emotional. I think we've seen that in his Red Bull era.
Yeah.
Any time that I think it was 2010 in Hungary when he got completely screwed over by the safety car, and Webber ended up going on to win the race, and he just got proper annoyed.
Oh yeah.
He just lost it. It fell through his fingers, and he felt like he was pushed to the limit.
Yeah.
And I think Raikkonen doesn't. He offers a lot, but he's not offering enough.
Yeah, I was going to say, talking about Vettel sort of moaning on the radio, having a bit of a moan. He moaned about the blue flags today and the cars that get away. But seriously, I thought today I watched it and it was like some of the cars really did I think it was Grosjean. He literally was there an entire lap and then got out of the way on the straight, but he didn't even get out of the way nicely. It was sort of he sat right on the racing line.
No, I don't think he's really. He just
I don't
like
know.
It.
You can see that even the seagulls didn't get a blue flag, did they? So he didn't like that one. But that's those two, and then we should say. I'll say Williams.
Yeah,
Williams has had a
Williams next. Surprising.
Bottas had a fantastic weekend.
Honestly, don't know what they were doing up there because from our last podcast we concluded that they're not that ambitious.
No, and then they go get a podium. They always prove us wrong. Yeah, we look like we speak like shit.
Well, we just maybe we should just really play down Ferrari completely and utterly next podcast. Well, no, because next podcast is going to be the race podcast. So at the end of this podcast, let's really tear into them at the end, and they'll just fly up and get a 1-2 at Baku. But yeah, Williams. Less Williams, just Bottas. Bottas, really awesome. Really awesome to see him at the end with his engineer. Really, really happy, obviously. And I don't know.
He drove very well all weekend. He was putting out some good qualifying laps yesterday as well. I saw the highlights.
I think what was it? The stat was it was the first time this season that he's been in the top. What was it? Six in practice.
Yeah.
So good signs straight from Friday. So yeah, really solid job. Just really solid.
He really left Massa dead in his shadow this weekend.
Yeah.
I also on Massa. I want to point. We didn't get to talk about this because obviously we did the podcast after the race. But this is all pre-race. Did you see guys in the practice on Thursday and Friday? Massa saying, talking about Hamilton's lifestyle off track, and saying so basically Massa said he needs to focus more. He's not focusing enough on the driving. He's thinking maybe about his life after Formula One, and that's going to bite him in the arse or something. Basically, he didn't actually say that, but just words to effect. And then he goes and stuffs it in practice. And Hamilton tops the session. I just thought before the race, like on Friday, that was literally just like, well, you have made a complete muppet of yourself.
In fairness, I think it was some sort of DRS-related issue.
Yeah, it wasn't an issue,
kind of unsettled the car,
still,
in fairness.
But still, it was just quite...
I think Massa did have an unlucky weekend.
Yeah.
I think you two know my feelings toward Massa and where I think he should be, but I don't think Massa's in a position to comment after, seeing where they both are respectively in their careers, and then obviously what happened in Brazil. So,
I think that's all more banter than like firing shots, to be fair. But I thought it was quite. I think Massa I think that's just a weekend to forget for him when you've got your teammate getting podium, you've had a crash, you've had a retirement due to engine overheating in the coldest race of the season, or one of the coldest races of the season.
Yeah.
So that's very, very strange. But just Bottas picking up points. I think it's good to see back on the podium because it's been a while. I think it's Mexico last year. I think the last time I was on the podium, so you just can't complain. And we can move on to Red Bull.
Quite a race.
We're a bit of a question mark, really.
I expected a lot more from them in the race. I like qualifying, fair enough. They can't really turn up the engine when they need to, but I honestly thought in the race they would have done a bit more. But you could see Ricciardo in particular really struggling today, didn't he?
Ricciardo got it
really
within,
struggled.
what was it, 3-4 tenths of Hamilton's pole lap, so it was quite good. And then I think Verstappen was 6 tenths off pole. So they were there.
And then just sort of in the race they dropped off.
I think they knew that they weren't going to be as quick because it's just not their type of circuit.
Well, it's like
it's a big question mark.
It's like I thought originally in the last podcast that I thought it was going to be that way around. I thought Red Bull, even though they've really improved, I did really think they were going to be snapping at other people's heels instead of Ferrari snapping at their heels. So I sort of thought it was going to be that way and sort of turned out like that. But also at the same time, Ricciardo got quite... I don't know, he just didn't make the most of it right in the middle of the race.
Ricciardo got unlucky, stuck behind
Raikkonen. He got stuck behind him, and then also at one point they asked Verstappen to let him go, but then Verstappen...
They never switched.
But then Verstappen just sped up. Like, it was actually quite a nice response. He just sped up and was like, no, I'm not going to... He just responded. So Verstappen ended up 53 seconds behind Hamilton at the end of the race, and Ricciardo was 63. So, and then in between them was Rosberg and Raikkonen. So... Yeah, just Ricciardo obviously got stuck behind Kimi, so that could have affected him quite a bit. And just generally, it's.
Well, no, I was gonna just butt in and say like what you're saying. Okay, so maybe you expected Red Bull not to be above Ferrari this weekend, but Bottas beat the Red Bulls clean this weekend though as well.
Yeah,
it's like that. I understand it's a power track, but Williams showed no signs at all of just.
Aero package, really.
That literally, to quote F1 2010, came out of nowhere. So,
obviously, I don't know.
One.
Maybe
it's like
maybe he did get screwed over very badly, but I'm not sure.
Could Baku be a good track for Williams?
Yeah, I think that's the thing. Like, I think we mentioned it briefly in last podcast that it might be a better track for Williams, Canada.
Massa in the Thursday press conference seemed very optimistic about Baku.
Yeah, because Baku has so many long straights, and even the straights between the corners,
massive.
Yeah, the massive straights, but even the straights between each corner are quite long. It's quite a long track. So
there's only a little bit. I haven't drove any laps of it on like any sort of game or whatever. So, but there is like a technical part, but it's only there's a
short little section. Short little part. That's where the castle
would favour the Red Bull.
That's where the castle is. So that would favour Red Bull.
The rest of it's a lot of power. It's a very big power track.
Almost like. Basically, like
it's a 1 minute 40
It's like Russia, like lots of 90 degrees or just slowly angled corners where really Williams could suit quite well if they don't have any issues with the tyre wear.
Yeah.
I think they could refly quite well.
But even though you said 9 degrees, it's never really 9 degrees because it's very wide, isn't it?
Yeah, very.
I've driven, so
wide.
It's not even like a 9 degree corner. It's like quite a flowing bend. So like even if you haven't got the most even if you haven't got the most downforce, you're still gonna negotiate. Like if you're Williams, you're still gonna you're right through the bends. So I think it'd be interesting. Very interesting.
We're kind of mixing this with a preview. We're trying to put two podcasts into one.
We never had this before. The first time where there's not been like a week break. So looking down the order then, so we talked about pretty much like the top 7 there.
Top 4.
So we've got what?
The top 4 teams.
Oh, top 4 teams. Yeah. So then now we move on to, Hülkenberg was 8th place, Carlos Sainz 9th, and then Sergio Perez 10th. So let's talk about Force India, because 2 of them are there. So Perez tried something. We thought it might work out. We've seen him do it time and time again. This time really just didn't work. It was, 33 laps on softs and then 31 on super softs. And it just
I'm guessing
didn't work.
he was probably he just whacked on the softs at the start and hoped for rain. Or something.
Perhaps,
maybe...
yeah. That was also another thing. What was it? All of us, everyone was like, the rain.
Well, it was spitting, wasn't it? It was spitting on the grid until the race started.
Yeah, and then middle of the race, Cal was just on Twitter where's the rain? Where's
I do find the Force India battle intriguing because you always see Hülkenberg and Perez yo-yo all the time. They yo-yo all the time.
Because now Hülkenberg finished.
Hülkenberg had the upper hand all weekend.
Hülkenberg's had so much bad luck this season. I followed someone on Twitter, and he's been listing all of the bad luck, and he's had a bucket load of bad luck. It's been ridiculous.
He's
so maybe
joined
Hülkenberg...
top with Palmer this season for just rotten luck.
I think he's miles ahead of Palmer, and that's saying something. So I think it's actually good, and finally Hülkenberg gets a bit of luck, and he actually has an alright result. He finishes ahead of his teammate. I think it was at 8th position he finished in, so 4 points. At least it's decent.
I'm hoping that eventually he'll get some good luck at a track where they're maybe a lot better at, because he got some luck today, but it was only also 8th compared to Perez's good performances. So
3rd off the back. It's there's points.
It's just a case of
that's like McLaren Honda type
take pride in beating your teammates, all thing.
Well, yeah, but hopefully, I'm hoping he does get some good luck. Maybe at one of the tracks where Force India come out of nowhere and are quite strong and have a good strategy to maybe
they
do
might
one
be good.
stop.
Obviously, they might be reasonably strong at Baku.
Perhaps.
I think it could
be all right. They'll be fighting for the points as they always are.
Yeah, Force India. That's one thing. Force India may have some off weekends, some really good weekends, but
they're a weird team to predict.
Pretty much the average. If you leveled everything out, they're always going to be fighting for points here and there. So next team, I guess, Toro Rosso, Carlos Sainz getting their one and only points.
Drive.
Kvyat in 12th place. So he completely trounced him. Sainz, solid race.
Off the back of the grid.
Yeah.
Into the points.
Solid,
incredible drive.
Solid. Obviously, he had the crash in Q2. So also off the back of that, not just the fact that he's back of the grid, but also just mentally that must be quite jarring, because we also saw Verstappen in Monaco crash in qualifying, then he crashed in the race eventually. So to come back from that mentally as well, very mature stuff to come back from a crash at the World Champions. Yeah,
it was just insane that he came back. Definitely one of the drivers. I think he must be the driver of the day. We'll kind of talk that towards the end.
That's just getting to that just a little briefly. That's going to be quite hard to actually decide.
Yeah,
really, to be honest.
It's just the fact that he beats his teammates. I'm not sure, because obviously we didn't see much of the midfield, but the fact that he beat Kvyat off the back of the grid, Kvyat must have had some sort of problem or something.
Got held up or something. I don't know.
I'm really not sure.
Honest, that's one thing. To be honest, with this race, I found a little bit frustrating that I couldn't really follow the race as well as maybe some other races, because the director of whoever was doing the camera work basically just showed the top 6 for most of the race. And I found it personally. I don't know about you guys. Let us know in the comments below what you guys think. But I found it kind of okay, I don't really know what's going on in this race, to be honest. Outside the kind of top 3, really, to be honest, mostly.
Yeah. It appears we've lost Tom, so I think me and Aarava might have to soldier on at this point. I think, in fairness, it is 1 o'clock in Spain, and it is Sunday night, so it's...
I think it came to Tom's sort of internet curfew, because I think the internet dies out there quite late on. Well. So we'll soldier on. So moving down the order, we get into the great McLaren. Alonso, 11th place. Obviously, towards the end, he had this very interesting radio. Cal, I think you can clarify that, because you're the one who actually spotted the article or the interview at the end, post-race, I should say.
Oh, I think it was Tom. That was Tom, so I can't
that was Tom.
On that one.
Okay, so I think...
we've lost our main source of information
From what I remember what Tom was talking to us about before the podcast, apparently Alonso's radio was about... He wanted to pit, basically, for fresh tyres and just enjoy the rest of his race. A lot like, basically, last year's Canadian Grand Prix, where he said, I don't want to save any more fuel. We're getting overtaken here. I just want to enjoy it. It was sort of the same thing, I want to enjoy it, but at this time, because he was in 11th, there was a chance of someone, messing up and him getting more points for the team. So the team told him, no, stick out on these worn tyres, just take it to the end. But obviously, it meant he had to trundle around protecting all the tyres. So that was that. So it did maybe sound like in the moment he was having a moan at them, but he was more just kind of, he wanted to enjoy himself.
But you can see why the team wanted him
fully
to be. I'm not sure if he would have lost any positions, but obviously if there was a crash between two cars, like we have saw before,
exactly,
obviously if there's a crash,
Raikkonen and Bottas at Russia, exactly. That could happen easily, and then there's more points.
In 2014 when Perez and Massa crashed, so. You can see why McLaren say no, stay there, because if we lose a position in the pit stop and two cars go and crash, we're not going to pick up that point. But I think that's just Alonso. It's hard. You can't really analyse it. It's just Alonso wanting to have a bit of a fun drive and knowing that he's coming to the end of his career. He wants to make every lap count. To be fair, but. And then the sad thing would have come to our. You didn't like me on Twitter for this. Very a lot of other people didn't like it either when it was like, "Oh, I'm not coming on the podcast anymore."
So Jensen Button
I remixed it with Will Griggs on fire.
Yeah,
I'm not going to say it all,
Button with a fiery engine retiring, and then Callum had to go and quote tweet my GIF of me with David Tennant crying, and Cal had to go quote tweet saying "believe in McLaren Honda," and then I told him that he's not on the podcast anymore.
In fairness, that Honda engine had done a lot of
mileage. It's just frustration.
They said that they tried to push it.
Like, a few people were saying that, like, oh, are you going to do, like, a rant video again like you did last year at Canada? But this was a bit different because, like, last year was really bad. Like, they were completely off and they weren't enjoying themselves. Whereas this time, at least in qualifying, they were laughing about it. They're talking about, okay, so Jensen gave Alonso a tow, and they acknowledged that, and still both of them were saying they enjoyed the car out there, and it was great for them to get into Q3. Alonso was really happy on the radio after Q3, cheering a little bit, so I can't be really too mad at like McLaren as a team. It's just really, really unfortunate again, just to get a bit of bad luck like that.
They're still getting there.
It's going to happen. Like towards the end of the season, we'll see plenty of other teams get it. There is a very big possibility of someone like Hamilton that it might be a very big topic to talk about in a future podcast down the line. If Hamilton, has issues and gets like a penalty for like a reprimand or something like that, and then just other penalties for engines, MGUKs, it'll come in. Obviously.
One thing, talking about engines and everything, if you saw like lap 2 before the DRS was enabled, when I think it was Alonso that was behind Rosberg, he was in the slipstream and Rosberg had to go defensive for a McLaren. Like, he actually found genuine threat from a McLaren, so they actually found, and then obviously Rosberg sped off into the distance.
But for that brief glorious slipstream moment, it was quite nice.
So they are there.
Yeah, they're slowly getting. There's no denying they're gaining. It's just slowly.
Is it Haas next?
Yeah, Haas in Danica Fiat 12th place, and then Haas Gutierrez finishing ahead of Grosjean again. So that's quite nice because I'm going to be completely honest. I've never really had a soft spot for Gutierrez at all, but it's nice that it's sort of nice that he's proving critics wrong. That he said the car's not being has not allowed me to perform, and that's why I'm finishing behind Grosjean. It's nice to see that he's actually backing up his word and finishing ahead of Grosjean now. And so there's a bit of inter-team rivalry there. Again, Haas. I think someone said it on Twitter. I can't remember. I think it was just one of you guys, who tweeted me, or I think someone I follow, just said it was sort of like Sauber of last year. They had a really awesome start to the season, and then they're just reality seeing them of the season. They're falling back, and I know some fans of Haas have tweeted us saying it's just a bit of bad luck. They can do that again. No. But did they really get that much bad luck today in today's race? I genuinely just think it was just their pace.
I think they're just lacking general knowledge and experience. To be fair, and just the way that the setup works and the way they're warming up the tyres, you really need to get on top of that. Because the fact that when Gutierrez, I think it was, let through two front runners, I had to weave in the race to get temperature back into his tyres. That car cannot warm up his tyres. We know that it takes the softest compounds to pretty much every Grand Prix. They have the bucket loads. They always have the most amount of softest compound.
Didn't they bring 10 ultra
softs and
pretty crazy 10 ultra softs? Yeah.
That's a ridiculous amount, and they're still just struggling to get. And obviously, I know the softs are a lot. They have a lot higher working range in order for it starts to properly work. And obviously, that was always going to be a problem for Haas. But they need to get on top of this tyre warm up, and we've seen teams do it before. We've seen Ferrari do it before. Mercedes have done it before. So they need to put some research and development into them tyres because.
Yeah, I think they just don't have the car set up as well. I think
they just don't have
since the start of the season, like Australia, they said they pretty much did no setup work. They just made sure the car ran. So I think it's just a case of also they just need to learn about their own car and just dial in the setup, obviously.
Which is why next season will look very good.
It could, it could be very promising.
One season's knowledge.
And that's the thing. Because they've already got some points, they'll get some prize money.
Exactly.
And so they'll be pretty good. Unless Bernie pulls something, and I could completely see Bernie pulling something, going, "No, you're a new team. You're not going to get any money."
Bernie introduced Heineken or whatever. I think that's how you pronounce it. The beer.
Yeah.
Because obviously everyone saw the green everywhere. Jesus Christ, it's absolutely everywhere. And then
I thought it was good sponsorship,
the well-timed, the well-placed message of if you're driving, don't drink, or whatever it is.
Oh, yeah.
If you drive, don't drink. Because obviously Bernie think before you drive. So I thought
that
was very well timed.
Different. Yeah. Oh no, but, just random like topic to bear on, but there was a bit of debate on like that new sponsorship. As a whole, I think it was quite good because the thing is
money. It's money for Bernie.
Yeah, more money for Bernie. At the end of the day, that's what we need in the sport. Just more money coming in, actually, so it keeps going, and hopefully they can actually spend it on improving it. But that probably won't happen. But just in general as a global brand, Heineken and brands like Johnny Walker, they're very much behind Don't Drink, Don't Drive. Johnny Walker have done plenty of adverts with Jensen and Alonso and Magnussen in the past with and also Hakkinen with like Don't Drink, Don't Drive adverts. So in terms of, there was a bit of argument maybe about, okay, that's a bit stupid. They're kind of having a global brand of alcohol, but they've banned cigarettes since like whenever.
Well, it's the EU. I think the EU definitely banned all cigarettes.
Yeah, it's a case
tobacco.
Yeah, it's a case
adverts.
of just how society in the world is right now. Like that, it's just a fact that it's just banned. So
I think
you can't have
just
it.
Generally as well, like just cigarette and smoking.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like
frowned upon.
Even though yes, alcohol affects your body and all this crap and stuff like that.
Seems to do as much damage.
It's not as much, and it's like a direct sort of. You're basically just like. We're not going to get into the whole medical debate and any of that stuff. If you want to smoke, you can smoke. That's fine by me. But obviously, we will have our own personal things. But that was basically a debate, like, should they be sponsoring F1 on a global level? Honestly, think it's absolutely brilliant that a big brand like Heineken, they've sponsored the UEFA League, Champions League before. Absolutely fantastic, like a brand like that's sponsoring the Champions League is sponsoring F1. Because, to be honest, as much as...
It bigs up F1 as a sport.
Yeah, as much as maybe hardcore fans want to think... Our sport's not really that big in comparison to something like football or even American sports in a way. It needs a global brand like that to really try and push us a bit more. And the more brands we get, the more sponsorships that we see coming into F1 over the next few years, hopefully, with the spicier racing, is going to be brilliant for the sport to try and big it up.
And very quickly as well, like obviously before this has gone completely off topic, but we're seeing a lot more. If you just watch TV, like there's just different adverts which include Formula One, like DHL, Shaw. We're seeing a lot more just F1 and even Formula E as well.
Yeah.
I saw a Formula E part.
As much as
DHL
advert,
where it's got Formula 1 and Formula E in it. It's like,
good.
Wow, it's getting involved, and this is good for the sport itself.
Yeah. I'm saying like
gives it more
as much as maybe like the general consensus, obviously, like a lot of people maybe do not like Hamilton as like an image off track. I've seen him pop up in a lot of adverts now, and that's good. It's good to have like you're one of the fastest guys in F1 being in such different territories of branding
and everything.
Exactly.
Like, oh my god, he's got his dog in it. It's like, I don't care if he's got his dog in it.
I couldn't give a shit. At least
it's publicity for the sport.
Yeah, it's great.
Like, who's that guy? Oh, Lewis Hamilton, the world champion of Formula 1. What's Formula 1?
It's great. It's great. Like because it like before, like even a couple of years back, it could be like you go to like an event for like where like all these celebrities are, and they're like, do you watch F1? Do you know what F1 is? Like, nah, haven't a clue, mate. But now they sort of they're starting to know because of Hamilton, because of these global brands, and because of F1's going to these global events. So I think it's brilliant that they're trying to get into the modern age. And it was great. It was bonkers to hear Bernie was like, I think we can use social media more with Heineken. It was like, really? Is the money changed your mind? Oh my god.
That's what I was waiting for. That's what it was. We're just waiting for Heineken.
Just
Thank
Heineken's
God.
money. That's what using Twitter and stuff and using
we've completely disrespect both Sauber and Manor here by.
Oh come on! They had like okay, look for all you people who support them. Here's your mention, right? Sauber 15th place. Ericsson finished ahead of Nasser solidly, ahead of Kevin Magnussen, who had a pretty meh Grand Prix.
And Renault as well. Sorry.
And Pascal Wehrlein 17th place, finishing strongly ahead of Nasser, which is okay. That's pretty nice to see that the man finished ahead of one of the Saubers at least. Sauber, Nasser 18th, Haryanto 19th, and then the DNF for obviously Joey and Palmer. So going back to what we were talking about before.
Well, let's put right. Okay, Renault just unlucky with Palmer. Magnussen kind of got screwed over with the qualifying because obviously crashed in FP3. You do really do show yourself. Well, it's been proved. If you crash in FP3, you're not doing qualifying, and you're more than likely you've got to change your car if you do crash in qualifying.
Yeah.
So that's always going to give you problems. And then Sauber, and Mana's just kind of just been that false hope, really.
Yeah.
That we thought that
so much hype, and just.
I didn't think I saw anything. The biggest thing I saw about Mana was the fact that Haryanto was fasting.
The biggest thing that swung me was just Tom's optimism at the beginning of the season. But before that, I literally was like you just said, like I didn't think it was really going to come much of it. I just thought it was going to be standard F1, and it is. It's just so hard to actually develop a new team like this. It's always going to be very tough. It's going to take them a good, if they even stay in the sport, I think it'll take them a good 6 more years to fully get into that whole swing of, oh yeah, we'll score points and stuff, or maybe even not even that, maybe just midfield. So we sort of talked about the race thing. That's pretty much it. I think that's. I think last thing was Cal. You find that quite funny before the podcast, the whole seagold thing that Tom mentioned. Briefly. So I'll let you talk about it.
The majority of our audience is based in the UK, but a lot of people probably might have seen it anyway. The Sky Sports interview that they were going to do it with Hamilton, and then Vettel just completely doorstepped his interview, and then they had a little talking about the seagulls, and then Sky Sports actually went out there to try and find this, and Vettel decided, no, I'm staying here until they find the lap where I came across these seagulls, because obviously all racing drivers have to have some sort of excuse as to why they locked up, and Vettel said that his bright red Ferrari that going to 150 miles an hour going towards 2 seagulls, it just in the middle between 1 and 2, and they didn't move at all. He was just got a little bit annoyed at that, and then Hamilton just kept calling him out, saying that that was the reason why. And then Hamilton actually went, because I'm at 1 with the animals.
Yeah, and then he was like, I'm Dr. Doolittle. I sent them him there.
Oh my God, shut up.
I thought that was quite just great banter between them. It's good to see.
It was so good.
It's good to see
them two have been around for so long now in this sport.
Top drivers, the old schoolers, as Cal sort of said before, 2010, old schoolers.
They have.
Having some banter. It was good. It was good. Having some banter.
I'd like to imagine them two being in the same team. That would spark rumours. That would be interesting.
I think it'd be banter. I think as personalities, I think they get on quite well. They're both very distant people. Hamilton doesn't really talk to many people on the track parade. Vettel does, but Vettel also doesn't get involved in social media in that way.
Yeah, Vettel's very distant from the outside world. Yeah. He likes his little bubble, Formula 1 bubble. Yeah. But then as soon as he leaves that, he's just right, and then
Hamilton saw the opposite. He loves the bubble outside, but when he gets in the car and when he gets on the track, it's nope, just focus, me.
Maybe that's kind of the weird thing with Massa. When he said that, it's kind of he's got that huge bubble outside the sport, but then again, he gets into this.
When he gets in the car and track parade, he doesn't talk to any of you lot. So I think they quite complement each other quite well. But
it did kind of make me cringe though when he was like, "I'm at 1 with the animals." Shut up, please. I'm blessed. Okay, calm down, get in the car and go drive quickly.
He still rises, all right?
Still rises.
So
throw back to your stream.
Anyway, I think that's where we're going to wrap it up. We had
just very quickly talk about driver of the day.
Yeah, sure.
Bottas or Sainz.
It's going to be quite hard to choose, to be honest. Yeah, I would say Bottas did really well, actually. To be honest, Bottas really well.
Hamilton, you can't really factor it in. He had a good race.
Hamilton has really solid race. I think he showed also how much Mercedes maybe depend on him to pull them out of situations where their car and strategy may not be 100% flawless. That Hamilton can just drag it up and make it work. But yeah, I think you have to maybe give it to either Bottas or Sainz. Bottas really solid, but Sainz are very, very good from the back of the grid.
Last to beat his teammate after the crash he had in qualifying, very unlucky crash in qualifying. He got so unlucky with the fact that his rear toe link just completely snapped. When we saw, apparently Ricciardo did it as well. We didn't see qualifying because we are dominant. We are really good Formula 1 fans, and we missed it because we were doing a league race. But
well, no, because we were doing an F1 league race, so
F1 league. Well, that's what kind of thing. But and then looking towards Baku, we don't really know much about the track.
We don't know much about it. I've driven it on the game.
What tyres are they taking? Is it the 3 softest or is it the super soft?
Might be the 3 softest because it's a new track. It won't have that much rubber down to wear tyres out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've driven it on the game. It's interesting. It's quite wide, so I think we'll see a lot of... I don't think you'll see a lot of issues of people getting stuck behind each other in dirty air. I think it'll be a case of it might be quite an overtake fest.
Really?
In some corners. But then on the main straights, they're really, really long straights, like a bit too long.
Is it like Mexico long?
Probably like it felt like it was longer than Mexico.
Mexico
it felt
feels
like
very long.
It might be just about the same length, but it felt as long as Mexico. So I think it'd pretty much be a drag race, and you'll see a lot of cars just bottoming out and topping out. So it'll just be like if you have two equal cars like who are equally fast, I think you'll just see them go side by side for just like a bit too long, and it'll just get a little bit like, okay, we get it. Okay,
can we hit the brakes now?
Yeah. Where's the brake zone? So yeah, I mean, we'll look forward to that. It's gonna be weird actually not having a middle podcast. We're going straight to another race, but hope you guys enjoy that. Hopefully you're not too mad that we had to wait a whole day for this podcast. As I said at the beginning, to be honest, it probably is more annoying for us than you guys, to be honest, because you guys who are dedicated to watching the podcast can still watch it, but obviously we lost some impact of people viewing it because it's not straight after the race. But anyway, we had to sort of do that. E3 was there, and as we said,
Battlefield 1,
and FIFA and all this other stuff. And as we said last weekend, we have stuff to do. We don't just want to talk about F1 all the time, so we have to take some priorities there. But we eventually got the podcast out anyway. So, guys, if you have enjoyed that video, hit that like button. Let us know what you thought in the comments below about all that stuff, the race, the global Heineken thing, everything. If you're new around here, then do subscribe to this channel for more podcasts. If you liked what these two, or one, I should say, but the other one left. But if you like what they both said, then follow them on Twitter and go to see their channels. Links in the description. We'll see you guys next time for the Baku Grand Prix review podcast. We'll see you then. Goodbye. That was the most awkward smile ever.